Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Can I have your attention, please? Thank you. Welcome to tonight's meeting of the Committee of Adjustments. This meeting is to consider applications for minor variance and consents held under the authority of the Planning Act of Ontario. Please keep in mind the intent of this process is to review the proposal that is before us, listen to the evidence, and then make a decision. This process is not intended to be used to resolve any concerns or disputes that may exist between the town, individuals, or organizations. If a request for a deferral is made that the committee grants such a request, the committee, after consultation with the Secretary-Treasurer, will set a new hearing date. No further notice will be provided unless there are changes to the application. In order to conduct an effective and efficient hearing, we have adopted the following process. The owner or authorized agent will be given the opportunity, if so desired, to briefly explain to us the basis of the application, answer any questions that may arise of the hearing. A maximum of 5 minutes will be provided for this presentation. You will need to state your name and address for the record. Any materials submitted to the committee for viewing will remain in the property of the committee. Any submissions beyond the 5 minutes will be at the discretion of the committee. All persons attending this hearing who wish to support or oppose an application must also state their name and address for the record. A maximum of 5 minutes will be provided to make their presentation. All remarks and questions are to be directed to the chairperson of the committee. Any submissions beyond the 5 minutes will also again be at the discretion of the committee. If there are several speakers sharing the same point of view, we do ask that you have a spokesperson to present the group's opinion, as we do want to hear the views from all the members in the audience, but covering the same points will not advance your case. The owner or agent will then will be provided with further 5 minutes to respond to the comments made by any interested parties, answer any questions from the committee members. If the owner or agent has any concerns found in staff reports, particularly with the proposed conditions, this will be the opportunity to advise us. The matter will then be taken into committee for a decision, and this will mark the end of all discussion. Once the committee makes an oral decision, any person desiring a copy must file with the Secretary-Treasurer at this meeting a written request for notice of the decision. A green sheet is provided for this purpose, and I believe it's on the side of the room today. Please note that you must make a written request in order to be included on the list that is used by the local planning appeal tribunal for the giving of any subsequent notice of appeal. Written notice of the committee's decision will be mailed no later than 10 days for minor variances and 15 days for consent to the applicant, the owner, an agent, and any other person who has filed a written request for such notice. If you do not agree with the committee's decision, you may appeal to the local planning appeal tribunal, and the last day for appeal to the decision to the LPAT will be noted on the decision. If no appeal is received within the prescribed time frame, the decision of the committee becomes final and binding, and the Secretary-Treasurer will then notify the applicant through written correspondence. People attending this committee meeting are to be courteous and respectful to all members of the committee, town staff, and other members in attendance tonight. Tonight's meeting will be video recorded and available for future viewing on the town's YouTube channel, and we do ask that cellular phones be switched off during this meeting, as they do interfere with the audio system. Thank you. At this point in time, we have one regret, Mr. Michael Talowski, and I'd like to take the declaration of pecuniary interest at this time. Mr. Charlebois, thank you. I have to shut mine off, thank you.
Okay. Madam Chair, I'm just going to declare a conflict with CAVA 097-2018 at 1500 Upper Middle Road West.
Very well, thank you. Are there any other pecuniary interests to be declared? I see none, thank you. Okay, at this moment, we will take any deferrals or withdrawals of applications. So who is here that would request a deferral? Mrs. Baker?
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Madam Chair and members of the committee. I'm seeking 2 deferrals, one of which is to the file that Mr. Charlebois has declared a conflict.
So do you want to excuse yourself for just this moment? Ms. Baker, thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. For the record, last name Baker, first initial D, Weirfolds LLP. Legal counsel for the Abbey Plaza Inc. with respect to CAVA 097-2018-1500 Upper Middle Road West. We are requesting a deferral of that application to the next cycle.
If you give me a moment to canvass the room, who's here for CAV 097 of 2018 at 1500 Upper Middle Road? I see none. Go ahead. Proceed.
Thank you. We're seeking a deferral on that matter. I've been advised that some of the traffic work has not been circulated, and as well our traffic consultant was, in the absence of that traffic work, wasn't available to attend to explain that work. So we're going to ask for a deferral until the next cycle, which I believe is the 24th of July, if there's any space, if not the one following.
The 24th of July is available still, but you have to submit as soon as possible because we already have a certain number of the application.
So I understand the materials were submitted, they just weren't circulated. But
Traffic report, did you get it? Traffic report, I was off for the whole month, and we circulated whatever was submitted to us. So if it's only one copy, then the planning got that copy, and I don't know how many people rest got like the copy of the traffic report. So if you want to defer and submit again, would be fine. We can resubmit just the traffic report.
certainly, so we'll go back and check our files, and if required, we'll submit the additional copies for the members of the committee.
Yeah, as well as the deferral fee.
Sure.
No, it's on. Okay. So, in the effort to get a more clearer review of the application with the traffic report that's still to be submitted, we'd like all those in support of deferral. Okay, so we've deferred your application.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You also have a second one, right?
I do. Would you like me to get Mr. Charlebois in the interim?
Yeah, yes, please.
Sure.
So,
Thank you. My second deferral request, Madam Secretary, Treasurer, Madam Chair, is with respect to CAVA 096-2018. Where Folds LLP is legal counsel to Branthaven McCraney Inc. My client's planning consultant submitted a letter dated June 20th, 2018, indicating that a deferral was going to be requested on the basis of some additional site plan details that need to be sorted out. And so we are attending here today to request that deferral.
yes, and that was in our report. Thank you.
Thank you.
So all those in support of deferral of McCraney at 096 of 2018? Okay, we've deferred it. Well, is there anyone here for CAV 096 McCraney Street East? I can't see. I see none. Okay. All right, so there's nobody here in attendance. Has he gone out? Or we'd like you to, if possible, please to put your phone on silent because it does disturb the recording. And it is a smaller room than we're used to, so you can imagine. Was there someone here for McCraney?
You dropped off a letter. Oh, the other one is just the correction.
Okay, so I see none. Is there anyone, okay, so both your applications have been deferred. Thank you, Ms. Baker.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here who's requesting another deferral? Yes, please come on up. Your name and address for the record, and which application are you here for?
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is TJ Secura. I am here on behalf of the owners at 1077 Scott Avenue, which is CAVA 093-2018.
Very well, thank you, Mr. Skira. Who is here for CAV 093 of 2018 at 1077 Scott Avenue? Okay, I see none. Go ahead, Mr. Skira.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, we're requesting a deferral to address some of the planning comments. We are aware that there's a staff report recommending refusal of this application. The applicants are willing to consider possible revisions to the application to improve the variances upon further discussion with planning staff.
Very well, that's always good to hear. All those in support of the deferral? So your application has been deferred. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, members. of the
Anyone else that is willing? Yes, come on up, please. Thank you. Good evening. Your name, address, and for the record, as well as your application.
Okay, my name is Ibtisam Mahrouz, 353 Sprout Street. I'm here on behalf of the owners of 1201 Sterling Drive. Application number CAV A098-2018.
Perfect, thank you. If you give me a moment to canvass the room. Who is here for application CAV 098 of 2018 at 1201 Sterling Drive? Okay, you are the owners, and sir, you are in opposition or in support? You're a neighbor. Are you here in opposition or in support? Opposition. You're in opposition, very well. Thank you. The applicant is seeking a deferral. I am assuming you're going to address the comments of staff and you're trying to work on getting a more favorable...
Yes, we received a comment from the adjacent neighbor, and we consider revising our design to address his concerns.
Very well. Sir, if you'd be kind enough to look just behind you, those are the owners. If you can introduce yourself, and then when you've exited the room, you can have a conversation, and that usually gets things moving a lot faster when you come back the second time around. Are there any questions or concerns? All those in support of a deferral for 1201 Sterling? Okay, your application has been deferred. Thank you. Okay, any more deferrals? Going once? Going twice? Okay. We're going to start our meeting, and our first application of the night is CAV 090 of 2018 at 2390 Marine Drive. Good evening.
Good evening.
Your name and address for the record, please.
Lynn Arnold, 1515 Rebecca Street, P.O. Box 60032, Oakville.
Perfect. Thank you, Ms. Arnold. Who is here for application CAV 090 of 2018 for 2390 Marine Drive? I see none. Okay. Your application is for the conversion of a rental office dwelling into a, that's going to be affecting the parking conditions. Are there any questions of Ms. Arnold at this time? Have you read the staff's report?
Yes.
And conditions? We've done our site visits, we are familiar with your application. The bylaw does allow us to forego with a presentation. This is your moment to offer any further information or anything that you'd like to share with us. If not, we are prepared to take this matter into committee.
Okay.
So if you have nothing further to add?
Pretty self.
Okay, very well. So we will take this matter into committee. Gentlemen, I'm in your hands. Mr. Ian.
Madam Chair, having conducted my site visit and reviewed the application, applicant's written submission, as well as the town's written staff report, which is in support of, having also taken into account the comments presented and the questions and submissions from the public, and noting that there were no written or oral objections from the public, I am prepared to make a motion for supporting the application.
Very well, thank you. Is there a discussion on this recommendation? I see none. All those in support? Staff's report?
There are no conditions
Yeah.
that we could put another 2-year.
So in addition, I I think that it should be subject to the condition that the approval will expire 2 years from the date of the decision.
Yes.
If the proposed development does not proceed or a building permit is not issued, and that it be subject to the condition that the proposed dwelling be constructed in general accordance with the drawings as submitted.
There's no dwelling, it's just the
Renovation.
development, yeah. Okay. Very well. You're satisfied with these conditions? All those in support with those conditions? Very well. The application has been approved. Okay, your application has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, CAV 091 of 2018 at 185 William Street. Good evening.
My name is Sandra Boardman. I'm the agent acting on behalf of the owners of 185 William Street.
Thank you, Ms. Boardman. Can you just give me a second to canvass the room?
Sure.
Who is here for application CAV 091 of 2018 at 185 William Street? I see none, thank you. This is a legal non-conforming and it's a heritage property with an addition to the rear yard. We've all done our site visit. Are there any questions of Ms. Boardman at this time? Mr. Charlebois? Go ahead.
Actually, the question is directed more at planning, because we're taking a look at this under section 45(2), correct, of the Planning Act. And the thing that I'm concerned about with respect to this is, there's two conditions. Is the proposal similar to the current usage of the land? And is the proposal more compatible with the uses permitted by the land? And the argument here is that requires the expansion of legal non-conforming buildings or uses to be compatible or similar. But I always thought the whole idea was to be more compatible, not just compatible, but better, as opposed to okay.
Through you, Madam Chair, to the committee, I would suggest that my language is a little bit more loose, having a better, feeling confident in the committee's knowledge of section 45(2) and understanding those tests. It is an or condition. It is that being more compatible with or similar to. It is not an and condition in which you would have to satisfy both.
Right.
In this case, the use of the semi-detached dwelling remains the same, and it is more compatible in staff's opinion to extend the living area than on the area in which they were proposing the extension, which is on the non-common wall of the dwelling, which is, if you would recall, I guess the last meeting where we saw a similar case on William Street where that particular addition was done on the common wall, which we felt that was not appropriate in that instance. In this case, there's no restriction or challenge with respect to the common wall, maintenance, those types of matters.
Okay, thanks.
It's an open house, you're not like calling them down.
Oh,
Open house.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Does that answer your question? Are there any more questions of planning or Ms. Boardman at this time? Ms. Boardman, this is your time as well. If you have any items of clarification or anything further you'd like to share with us, this will be your opportunity to do so.
No, I think our submission was completed everything that we needed.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So are we prepared to take this matter into committee? If so, then I'd like a motion. Mr. Hardcastle, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Having reviewed the materials, heard the submissions and the response to the question provided by staff, I'm satisfied that the requested variances conform to the Planning Act, and I'll put forward a motion of approval, subject to two conditions. The first being that the proposed addition be constructed in general accordance with the final approved heritage permit to the satisfaction of the Director of Planning, and the second being that the approval will expire within 2 years of the date of the decision. I would note that there were no members of the public present with respect to this matter.
Very well, thank you, Mr. Hardcastle. Is there a discussion on this recommendation? I see none. All those in support? Yes, the application has been approved. Thank you, Ms. Morgan. Application CAV 092 of 2018 at 2200 Sawgrass Drive. Good evening.
Good evening.
Your name and address for the record, please?
Jennifer Parker of Crothers & Associates from 505 York Boulevard in Hamilton.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. If you'd give me a moment to canvass the audience. Who is here for application CAV 092 of 2018 for 2200 Sawgrass Drive? Okay. Are you here in opposition or in support?
I'm the executive director of the agency.
Very well, thank you. And you, sir?
I don't know what the issue is.
Oh, the issue. Okay, we'll get you that information. So, for the interest of the members in the audience, Ms. Parker, would you give us a brief presentation about the development?
Absolutely. The building is an existing community center. The bylaw that's in place allows for a certain square footage to the building, which we are looking to increase by staying within the existing footprint of the building. We're going to be expanding into the existing attic space that's currently vacant in the building. Along with that, we would also be increasing the number of parking spaces in accordance with a parking study that was done.
Very well. So, sir, if you'd like to address the committee or have any questions, you may come to the front and we will take your name and address for the record, and this will be your opportunity to do so. Ms. Parker, we invite you to sit down, just let the gentleman speak, and then we'll invite you back up. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Al Tamji at 227 Roxton Road in Oakville.
227?
Roxton Road. Roxton Road.
Roxton. Roxton Road. And your last name, sir?
Tamji.
Tamaji?
Yeah.
Tamaji. Sir, yes, how can we help you?
Looking at the comments that was made that they want to increase the parking space from the existing, I have a little bit of more concern about it. I don't mind if they are using it during the time when there's a facility going on. But I'm really concerned about parking in the middle of the night. They are using those parking space to rent it out to some other tenant or some other. That's where my concern is. I don't mind people using the facilities. It's a good idea to have those facilities in. But my concern is after hours, I see this parking lot used for outside parking, which I think I'm opposed to it.
You do realize this is a community center, right, sir?
I know, it is a community center, but after hours, when the community center is closed, there are people parking in.
We can't control the parking after hours, but there are bylaws in place that you can call the town of Oakville and
they are
they
renting
will
it out.
send a parking attendant to ticket after hours.
Yeah, using it and renting it out to other people, the
Yes, but
community center.
we'll get that information for you from the applicant, who will give you more information about what the parameters are in terms of renting and what do they expect of their renters for the hours that they are renting the facility for.
But is it not ideal that this parking lot should only be used for activities that are going on rather than doing it after the fact? I know you get the revenue for, but it's not right to have that as a parking lot.
I'm sure we can get that information for you. I'm certain that whatever facility is being rented out for whatever reason, they do have capacity to park there for their venue.
It's not for the venue. It is outside parking.
Just renting the parking spots alone.
Oh, just the parking spots alone. Okay, well, we'll get the applicant to comment on that. Is that your only concern? Because this is your time to address.
Well, the other thing that I heard was the renovation is going to be in-house.
Yes.
So there's not going to be any extension to the
No,
building?
it's all internal.
Okay, that's
Yes.
fine.
So we'll ask you to have a seat, and the applicant will try and answer all these questions.
Sure.
Probably makes the most sense for me to answer that. I'm Michelle Knoll, I'm the executive director at
Okay,
Oak
Ms.
Park
Knoll.
Neighborhood Center. So the parking lot is staying the same size as it is now, but we're allowing for more spaces, just to be clear on that part. So the center is used anywhere between 9 in the morning and say 11, sometimes midnight at night. We do allow 4 of our members to park in parking spaces in that lot through the year. We try whenever we can to tow cars. We know this gentleman who lives across has some concerns with the parking. And it's hard to catch people because they come after we leave for the day. So, and it's hard to keep track of, you know, who's in the building using who we shouldn't tow, obviously, and who's not using the building who we should tow. So I don't know if you're familiar with Oak Park. We don't have driveways in Oak Park. We have garages in the back. So there are a number of people who have nowhere to park, especially in the summer when their kids come home from university and college. So it's a larger problem in Oak Park. I know there are a number of places that are trying to get the on-street parking outside their homes. So we try to do the best we can because we know this gentleman has issues with the cars being parked there after hours. I don't know, we've got about 10 support letters from neighbors who live right across from the center as well, who are not bothered by the parking. One of the letters is the neighbor to this gentleman, and we've also planted extensive plantings across there, more than what we were required when we first purchased the building. So to try to block the cars and the lights especially from the houses going in. We've urged cars who are going to park there, even renters of ours in the evening, to back in rather than to go front in, so the headlights aren't blaring into the windows. And we dealt with the mayor's office on this as well. This individual's called the mayor's office a number of times. If you guys have some suggestions, I'm open to them, but we're trying to do the best we can as a community center for the community in the neighborhood with no driveways. So we're chasing people out. I've actually knocked on people's doors and said, please do not park in our parking lot. You're causing us trouble with the neighbor. And towing, which is, you know, as you probably know, a $600 charge, which we're doing, which doesn't make us very people very happy about us when we have to do that. And we don't do it until we've warned and tried the best we can. We've had police officers visit people's homes as well and say, could you please not park after hours? So trying to do the best we can.
Thank you, Ms. Knoll. Is there an opportunity to actually gate that Sawgrass?
Through you, Madam Chair, to the committee, if you'll notice as part of this site plan, the property line is delineated adjacent to the town's park. So part of that parking, there's an agreement to allow for the parking to be on town land for that park. So the expectation is that the use here is a community use. It is intended to be functional for the community. And so gating off a community use would not be desirable for this area, and that's not a direction we would proceed to go. And it appears that the applicant is making best efforts within the confines of bylaw enforcement and working with the mayor's office to alleviate those issues. The application before you today is to permit an increase in the floor area within the building. Staff recognized that the parking needed to respond to that increase, and the parking study was done that demonstrated that there's a certain amount of parking spaces that can be physically accommodated on site, which more or less reflects an existing condition. There have been additional parking spaces that the applicant had installed since the original approval that they have been using. So this also allows for clarity and cleaning up the site to a more specific standard.
Okay, thank you for that. Go ahead, Mr. Sharma. I need to shut up.
Can I ask you one more question with that? One of the queries was whether you were renting the spaces out. I kind of got the idea you weren't, but just for the record.
I mentioned that we
To
rent to 4
4
of our
people.
members.
Right, that-
Yeah, and
but-
they can park between 9 PM and 9 AM.
But you don't rent to other people? Like you
No,
don't rent
it's
out
for
the parking lot?
members.
Just
Yeah.
those? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that clarification. Mr. Tamaji, we've answered all your questions and we've taken into consideration your issues. Now this matter is going into committee. That is our procedural bylaw. You've taken your opportunity and we've had it, we've heard you, and now it's our turn to render our decision. If there's any other concerns, feel free to talk to Ms. Knoll on your way out, and hopefully she can help you further if possible. I think she's made a very clear effort as to all the efforts. Excuse me? Our procedure does not allow for a follow-up from the members in attendance. You have your 5 minutes to make your concerns known, whether they're in opposition or support, and then the applicant has a further 5 minutes to respond to those concerns, and then the committee takes the matter into committee. Okay, having said that, are we ready for a motion? Mr. Charlebois, thank you.
Madam Chair, having conducted my site visit and also reviewed the applicant's written submission as well as the town's written staff report, which I do note that they are in support of. Keep shutting off, I apologize. Okay, sorry. Has to be red. You would think it would have to be green.
That's what I thought too. You're not the only one.
And also particularly take into account the comments from the public with respect to the parking. While I appreciate the comments with respect to the parking too, I'm looking at this particular application, and the application itself with respect to the variance does not necessarily deal with whether or not the community center is renting parking spots to a few of its employees or using them in, later at the night. And I think we've made it clear that they're not renting it out as a revenue-generating business. So with respect to the application that's in front of us here, which is to permit a variance, to permit a maximum floor area of 404 square meters, I find that I have been influenced by the applicant's submission. I find that this particular motion does meet the 4 tests under the Planning Act. I'm going to put forward a motion that it be approved, subject to a series of conditions here that I'm going to read out from staff. The first one, that a minimum of 20 parking spaces be provided to accommodate a floor area up to 404 square meters. That a maximum of 10 parking spaces be provided partially or wholly on an adjacent town property. 3, that the applicant restripe the existing parking area to reflect the site plan dated May 2018 as submitted to the satisfaction of the Director of Planning. I'm also going to make it subject to 2 further conditions. One condition that this approval will expire 2 years from the date of this decision. If the proposed renovation does not proceed or building permit's not issued, and subject further to condition that the renovation be constructed in general accordance with the drawings as submitted.
Thank you, Mr. Charlebois. Is there a discussion on this recommendation? I see none. All those in support? Okay, the application has been approved. Thank you. Moving on to application CAV 094 at 32 Florence Drive. Good evening.
Good evening. This is Parisa. I'm the architect on the...
Sorry, can you pronounce your last name again?
Parisa Amiri.
Parisa.
Amiri. And I'm the architect on the file.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Amiri. Who is here for application 094 of 2018 at 32 Florence Drive? 32 Florence Drive. Are you the owners? Owner. That's fine. Is there anyone here in attendance for 32 Florence Drive? I see none. Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Amiri. This is an application for a new development of a 2-story home. We've done our site visits, we're familiar with your application. This is your time to offer us any further clarifications if you'd like. It's your
Well,
time.
no, just we try to design in harmony with the neighborhood as growing and accommodate our neighbor, our client as they are growing as well.
Very well, thank you. So if you're satisfied with the conditions that
Yes.
staff have submitted and you're prepared for us to take this into committee, then we are prepared to do so.
Yeah.
Okay. Gentlemen?
Madam Chair, having conducted my site visit and having reviewed the applicant's written submission, as well as the written staff report, which I know is in support of, and having taken into account the comments presented by the applicant this evening, and noting that there were no written or oral objections, I am prepared to make a motion for the application to approve, noting the condition that the proposed dwelling be constructed in general accordance with the plans dated May 10, 2018, as submitted, and subject to the condition that the approval will expire 2 years from the date of the decision if the proposed development does not proceed or a building permit is not issued.
Very well, thank you, Mr. Flemington. Is there a discussion on this recommendation? I see none. All those in support? Okay, the application has been approved. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you,
Application has
Madam.
been approved. Moving on to application CAV 095 of 2018 at 369 Chartwell Road. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Dan DeVries. I'm from Cedar Springs Landscape Group on behalf of my client at 369 Chartwell Road.
Last name DeVries?
DeVries, yes.
Thank you. Let me just canvass the room. Who is here for application CAV 095 of 2018 and 369 Chartwell Road? Okay, I see none. Go ahead, Mr. DeVries. If you have any further comments to make or any items of clarification, we are...
I'm in agreement with staff's position, and yeah, I don't think at this point any further explanation is required.
Very well. So this is the addition to the detached garage and outdoor living area. Gentlemen, do you have any questions of Mr. DeVries at this time? I see none. Are we ready for a motion then? Mr. Hardcastle, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Having undertaken a site visit, reviewed the materials, including the staff report, I'm satisfied that the requested variances conform to the four tests of the Act, and I'll put forward a motion of approval. That motion would be based upon two conditions. The first being that the proposed addition to the existing detached garage be constructed in general accordance with the plans as submitted, and the second being that the approval will expire within 2 years of the date of the decision if a permit has not been issued. I would note there were no members of the public that spoke with respect to this matter.
Very well. Thank you, Mr. Hardcastle. Is there discussion on this recommendation? I see none. All those in support? Okay, the application has been approved. Thank you, Mr. DeVries.
Thank you.
We're now looking at application CAV 099 of 2018 at 2178 Vineland Crescent.
Good evening, Arlene Beaumont, Outred and Associates. I'm appearing for Bill Outred this evening. We're the agents for the owners of 2178 Vineland Crescent.
Thank you, Ms. Beaumont. Is there anyone here for attendance for application 099 of 2018 for 2178 Vineland Crescent? I see none. Ms. Beaumont, we are in your hands. If you have any further information to share with us, if you are happy with the conditions and satisfied with conditions that the town staff have submitted, we are prepared to take your application into committee.
Absolutely, we're fine with the conditions.
Perfect, thank you. Are there any questions of Ms. Beaumont at this time? I see none. Okay, so motion?
Madam Chair, again, having conducted my site visit, reviewed the applicant's written submission as well as the town's written staff report, which I know they are in support of the application, and taking into account that there were no written or oral submissions from the public, I find that this particular variance as presented does meet the four tests on the Planning Act. I'm going to put forward a recommendation that be accepted as presented, subject to two conditions. One, that the proposed accessory building be constructed in general accordance with the plans as submitted, and subject further to the condition that approval will expire 2 years from the date of this decision if the proposed development does not proceed to a building permit. It's not issued.
Very well, thank you, Mr. Mr. Charlebois. Is there a discussion on this recommendation? I see none. All those in support? Okay, the application has been approved.
Thank you very much.
Yes, yeah. Thank you, Ms. Beaumont. Okay, the last item on our agenda is CAV 100 of 2018 at 2346 Devon Road.
Good evening, committee. My name is Peter Locke. I'm the agent representing the owners at 2346 Devon Road.
Good evening, Mr. Locke. Who is here for application CAV 100 of 2018 at 2346 Devon Road? Okay, I see none. Mr. Locke, we do have letters of support for your development, and yes, go ahead.
Madam Chair, I need to say something about the notice that was sent out. There was one correction based on the submitted plan. There is a technical topographic error on the variance notice, and the variance request has been amended and these changes. So it says the variance request to permit a minimum northerly interior side yard of 2.19 meters. Instead of notice that was different.
Remember what the notice said?
Oh, it said 2.20.
It says 2.15 and 2.20.
Through you, Madam Chair, to the committee, if I can also help explain the Secretary Treasurer's change. The original request had indicated a relief from both side yards, which is unnecessary. The requirement of their bylaw is 2.4 meters or 1.2 meters. In this case, it's the 2.4 meter requirement that cannot be met. So the 2.19 meter setback is what is being requested in lieu of the 2.4 meter setback. The effect of the variance previously would have required more restrictive permissions than what they're permitted as of right.
Okay. Are there any further questions of Mr. Locke or town staff at this time? Mr. Locke, do you have anything to add? You're satisfied with the conditions that town staff has?
Yes.
So then we will take this matter into committee. Mr. Hardcastle, go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Having reviewed the materials, including site visit, and hear the clarification from staff with respect to the notice, I am satisfied that the requested variance conforms to the revised variance conforms to the tests of the Act, and I'll put forward a motion of approval, subject to two conditions. The first being that the proposed garage conversion be constructed in general accordance with the plans as submitted. The second being that the approval will expire within 2 years of the date of the decision if a permit has not been issued. I would note that there are 8 letters of support submitted with respect to this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hardcastle. Is there a discussion on this recommendation? I see none. All those in support? Okay, the application has been approved, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Do have minutes from June 12th.
And we have minutes from June 12th too. If you would like to move those minutes. Mr. Hardcastle moves the minutes and motion to adjourn. Oh, I didn't I? No. Okay, sorry. He moved them. So, yes, all those in support? Minutes have been moved. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn, Mr. Hardcastle.
I'm not really sure.
Motion
You can wait on that one. All those in support of adjournment? Okay.
Yeah, whoever's voting
At
against that one gets it
7:44.
from.